Day one in the David preliminary hearing was dramatic and bone-chilling. There were photos shown of Celeste's decomposed body found in the trunk of David's car, and her family was there to watch. They were warned that they may want to look away. They did not, although Celeste's mother actually grabbed her hand and put it over her face at one point. It was gruesome. They showed her body cut up. There was a head and a torso intact. The limbs were cut off. The finger that had the SHHH had been removed, and they still haven't found it, but it correlates to the same tattoo that's on David's finger. And that was a key part of the evidence here. But the body was so badly decomposed that they could not identify it. As a matter of fact, just so you know, we got a tip while the police were trying to figure out who was in that car, who was the victim. We got a tip that it might have been Celeste, and we contacted Celeste's mother, and Celeste's mother told us about the color of that tattoo as well as the SHHH. We called the police and told them, and they seemed to have connected the dots at that point, and that's when they made the identification the next day. That's how badly the body was decomposed. Now, this is very important. The police are saying that David, there is surveillance video on July 29th, 2025, of David driving that Tesla and parking it where the car was ultimately found with the body inside. And according to the police, that car was never moved after that. For a month, was never moved after that. So the body, at least based on the evidence, it seems, was decomposing in that car for at least a month and maybe longer. Now, there is other surveillance video. There is a body cam video from February of 2024 when Celeste's parents had reported her missing, and they pointed to David as the person who might know her whereabouts. The police came to David's house and they questioned him. They showed him a picture of Celeste. David's reaction was, "I thought she was 18. At that point, and again, February 2024, the police said, "No, she is 13. And in fact, I think they said younger than 13. So the idea here was that they were putting him on notice that she was a minor. And they are alleging that they had a sexual relationship. Prosecutors say they had a sexual relationship. They also showed texts where Celeste and David were talking about Plan B. So they are trying to reinforce that David was having sex with a minor, namely Celeste. Now, when the body was found in September, a month later, David transferred ownership of his Texas home to his mother. And now that goes to the argument that David was worried that he was going to lose all of his money as a result of this investigation that could turn into a civil lawsuit. At least that seems to be where prosecutors are heading. And they mentioned today that David made $11 million between 2023 and 2025. That's important because the police and prosecutors are saying that the motive here in murdering Celeste, and this is according to prosecutors, they say the motive is that Celeste was furious at David for cutting her off and had threatened to go to authorities. Had she gone to authorities, David's music career would have gone down the drain. So they are saying there was a financial motive to kill her. And they are reinforcing the financial motive by saying that he had a lucrative career in the run-up to the time Celeste was murdered. Now, there are special circumstances alleged here. The prosecutors are saying that David was lying in wait the night that Celeste showed up at his home at the behest of David, who ordered an Uber for her, and then was never to be seen again. They are saying he was lying in wait, and when she drove up there in that Uber, his plan was for her to come inside and for him to kill her. That's what the prosecutors are alleging. They are also alleging the special circumstance of murdering a witness, which is a special circumstance that correlates to murder. Now, what the judge in this case is going to do is not just determine is there probable cause to believe that David is the murderer, but also to determine if the prosecution is allowed to try and prove to the jury that there were these special circumstances. So my intel is there is going to be a dogfight over this, over the special circumstances in particular. And we will see that play out as the week goes on, because this hearing is probably going to last 4 days. At that point, the judge has to decide probable cause. Probable cause in this case, I cannot see the judge saying there is not probable cause to hold him over for trial. I would be stunned if that happens. As for special circumstances, we don't know. But that is, I think, going to be the big battleground in this case. I cannot imagine that this judge is going to say, with this evidence, that there is no probable cause. It just means it's more likely than not. That's a much lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt. And that doesn't mean that a jury is automatically going to convict David, because in every case, where there is a charge, there's a preliminary hearing, the person is held over, but there are cases where people are found not guilty of murder. So we don't know what is going to happen in the trial, but I think there will be a trial. But the next 4 days of this preliminary hearing are going to involve the stakes, and the stakes for David go up if the prosecution is allowed to present these special circumstances to the jury. So stay tuned.